I just
Did you get to enjoy a little bit of Austin at all?
I did. You know, I went to Round Rock too. Obviously I stayed in Round Rock, which you knew.
Yeah.
That was I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a cute little town, you know, like this, yeah, like a little bit north.
Yeah. I went to I went to this cute little, for the short time I was there, there's this little like coffee shop that was like also a pottery studio, which was pretty fun.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
And I was
Nice.
gone. And I did go to a comedy show when I was downtown.
Oh, good. Yeah. You got to experience a little bit of
A little bit.
weirdness. Yeah.
A trip back is
should be muted, so it's not.
so Lindsay has to end up joining virtually, otherwise everybody is in person.
Cool.
And then Vubek and ET from Good Joe will join us virtually.
That's why I recognize you. Yeah, I'm on mute. You can't, but
I can hear you through the owl.
Oh, okay, you can hear me through the owl. Okay.
I hope. Hope that wasn't a.
Hello, owl. That's the owl. You met the owl when you were here last time.
And Kate, I'm so sorry we don't have a tag for you. It takes some time.
Oh, that is quite all right.
You can be Brian.
I don't mind. Yeah.
He's like PROSAB artist.
Hilarious. Okay.
Let's give you some time to customize my CSA share for the week.
Oh, gotcha. Is all of Godot?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
They
I
sure
think we are all coming virtually, yeah.
Yeah, I think just three of us. Standard faces, Cat.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Well, thanks.
Oh, we have a few more. So we'll wait for the rest of the crew. I saw Alex walking her dogs when I was driving out of my neighborhood, so she should be here shortly.
So, am I seeing, is this the owl on Miranda's video?
is the owl.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever seen it from this end. That's super cool.
Oh, isn't it cool?
Yeah. Yeah, really, really a neat piece of tech.
Someday I'll stop talking about it, but probably every chance I get, I talk about it.
Where are the rest of our friends?
Sorry, I have to turn my emails off so that stops happening.
And Lindsay's the only person calling in, right?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. And Sam picked up whatever his daughter had. So he too will be virtual only. Otherwise,
Okay.
we have everyone else.
And you heard back from CT?
No, we did not. And that was the same number I had. So I hope life is okay over there.
I'm on the call right now.
Oh, good. CT, I was worried about you. I felt like I was texting and nothing was coming back. So I'm glad you got them.
I apologize. It's been toddler mania.
No worries. Well, I asked Kat, I was like, does CT have a new number? Like, and so I was just hoping that you were just getting them. So I'm glad that's the case.
Yeah, I was getting them. I was indeed.
Well, you got a lot to read from me then.
Apologies for not getting back to you sooner.
You're good. As long as you're here, that's all that matters. So we technically have a quorum.
Yeah, so we do have quorums. We can get started. I know Alex is on her way. And then, yeah, you said Lindsay and Sam are calling in. Let me just. Let's give them just 2 more minutes and then we'll get started so we don't.
Hi.
There's Fluffy. Hi. Come on in.
Don't forget your name tag.
Oh, thanks.
How you doing?
Y'all healed up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hi. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Hey,
Thanks
Jesse,
for
long time no see.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We're just gonna wait like just 1 more minute.
Good.
It's on the way.
Hey, how's everyone?
Sam. How you doing, Sam? You under the weather?
I am. We got the whole crew here. The whole of the family is like been tanked with some colds. Don't get it if you can avoid it. It's not enjoyable.
I've
Yeah.
had that for the last 2 weeks. It is not
Have
great.
you?
Yeah. And
It
it is
is
just a cold.
dragging on.
Is
Is it? Yeah, because it's just like drags on and on.
Yeah,
All
long.
right,
Yeah.
ready to be done. Let me wrap this up.
We have a critical mass, so let's get going. Alex is on her way, but I called to order. I love my gavel. All right, so let's go ahead and do roll call. Casey.
Here.
Kate,
Here.
welcome to Kate.
Yay.
Our newest member, Jesse,
Here.
Sam,
Here,
Lindsay.
Lindsay's there, just not.
Lindsay, you're on mute if you're
She
talking.
said here, she messaged here.
Ah,
Her audio is not working.
oh, I think, oh no, that was a baby. I was like, I heard something. That was a baby. CT.
Here.
And Alex, not here yet, on her way. And I think I got everybody. Great. Welcome to everybody on the call. We have folks from Godot, and then we also have two members of the public. The agenda today starts with approval of the minutes. Then we go on to public comment on non-agenda items, if there is any. And then we have 4 agenda items today, including 2 informational items, 1 discussion item on the PROSAB update, the Parks Recreation Open Space Trails update. And then the final action item is regarding the pump track concept plan. And then we actually will have 1 small thing in other business that Alex will raise when she's here. So let's see. So approval of the minutes. Would anyone like to motion? Does anyone have questions or changes to the minutes? But very, very nicely detailed, lovely formatted
Awesome.
minutes. All right, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the September minutes.
I will second that
Second.
motion. We tied. All right, do a quick roll call. CT.
We already did roll call, didn't we?
Oh, sorry, no, just to approve the
But I'm here.
minutes.
Oh, yes, I vote to approve the minutes.
Great. Yes, approve the minutes. Jesse?
Vote yes.
Here for those kids.
Yeah, I may. It is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
grab a seat. We're just going through our minutes
We
right
just
now.
don't have the formation anymore.
Yeah. Casey?
Yeah.
Yes. Alex?
Here, oh, yes.
Great. Lindsay?
Probably gotta sit over
I
here. Try not to spill my coffee on me.
Lindsay, do you approve the minutes? Yes, great. Oh, now I lost my order. Sam, do you approve the minutes?
yes.
Great, and then I believe we have everyone here, so it's you. Great, minutes are approved. Thank you, everyone, and thanks again, Casey, for the lovely minutes. And just to update folks online, Alex on the PROSAB board has arrived, so we'll note that in the minutes, and then we also have a member of the public here, in addition to a couple folks online. Okay. Sorry, I just gotta grab my agenda back. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. With a limit of 3 minutes for anyone that has public comment on a non-agenda item. Does anyone want to get in the queue for that?
May does.
Great, thanks, May. Hi, May, I'm Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
Would anyone else like to get in the queue for a non-agenda item public comment? All right, May.
Thank you for the opportunity. I came before PROSAB in the spring. I don't know if any of you might remember it, about the town shop site. And since then, I've met with a retired fish and wildlife guy, a wetlands and willow expert, and I've attended some of the Boulder Watershed Collective meetings. And I know that that was in the Parks Envision 2030 recommendations that as a goal to look into turning that into a park. And I know anything flat looks like a building lot, but that's why we have people like Jesse with these big machines that can flatten out terrain that might not be flat. But what we learned, looking at the creek and going up the creek a little bit to where the pasture is that that could very easily be, the pasture especially is a wetland. It's where I keep my horses. And it could be extended downward a little bit. And whether it's part of a larger project, where there's building, whether it includes a trailer park or whether it's building on the site, I really would like to ask that we be allowed to come before PROSAB and present. I was really excited to read in your chapter 2 how much you're quoting in Vision 2030 and the comp plan. And so I really, I've learned from the Boulder Watershed Collective that wetlands and open areas like that near water can be a very effective fire break in the event of a fire. So I keep my horses in that pasture there, just on the creek, and it's really an incredible biodome or biosphere or mini bio thing. So I don't know, didn't get the crew together. We didn't realize you guys weren't on your regular schedule. So apologize, because we did, Dean Rundle is the Fish and Wildlife guy. And, oh, what was the lady with the willows? But she was identifying all these different kinds of willows, and, you know, I am an old timer, sort of, not like Jeanette Smith, but I've been here since 1988. And, I forgot what I was gonna say. But I just think it would be great to look into that. Jeanette Smith supports the park idea. She's got that little fishing pond there. Oh, I know. One last thought and then I'll let it go. I was here when the development went in along Middle Boulder. The Ace Hardware, which was the rental center, and the Lodge Hotel. That was just open wetlands at the time. And there was a very concerted effort at that time for the town to maintain ownership of that wonderful corridor. And unfortunately, a very unethical lawyer represented that group. I didn't join that lawsuit because I knew it was unethical. And so.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to let you know that your 3 minutes are up. So if you could just kind of wrap up in the next
So
couple
I'm
of
just-
seconds.
Yeah, I'd like to just wrap up by saying waterways and public space that's accessible by the public is really precious. So I would like to ask for guidance on how to proceed in trying to get this on the agenda.
Can I ask you a couple of questions or a question of May? Keep the conversation going a second more.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting you want that to go into town's possession or something?
It's in town's possession.
Oh.
Oh, you mean the pasture? I haven't had a chance to talk to Charlie. So, I mean, Charlie's a good friend and his family's been here forever. I don't know what he wants, what his plans are for that pasture. But it would make a perfect extension of that, and then it would be a real, something we could really be.
So what would you want to have be on the agenda?
Discussion of the creekside. There's been a little bit of degradation. I've talked to Miranda about it over the years. Inexperience for first-time snowplowers, plowing oily snow into the creek, breaking down the willows, and that kind of thing. Now, I know there's talk about putting that creek into a pipe if there's development on that lot. There's been, every 6 months, a bigger building proposal comes along. So I'd just like PROSAB to kind of get a feel for what the residents and wildlife people would like to see there. We did put it into E30, so in Vision 2030, it's in the goals. of one of the things that we wanted to look into. So, gotta read the fine print, but thank you. I know I'm over time.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Alex, do you have a question?
I was just gonna know, I'm helping with along with Sam, who's online, and obviously Miranda and Nikki with the Trails Plan update that you were referencing, chapter 2, and we will be incorporating the Envision 2030 objectives were you on the subcommittee?
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll be incorporating those, into the Trails Plan as we move forward and relying on those materials that your team so helpfully put together. But I think just in terms of next steps, we'd have to, I think just clarifying what kind of action you're at, like placing that land in a conservation easement, just clarifying what action you'd be looking for on behalf of PROSAB or town would be really helpful.
Yeah, and I think that's what we'd like to kind of organize and bring forward and pool resources, ownership of the water and how it fits into our rights of nature and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if at some point at a future meeting you want to, bring the proposal forward, we'd be more than happy to. I can even put that on the agenda so we have a little bit more time to talk about it. If you drop me a note, at least like a week before the meeting.
So should I just write it to PROSAB?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, then it goes
Will
to
do.
everybody.
Okay.
That would be wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
you.
your comment.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Any other non-agenda item comments? Okey dokey, then we will go to our agenda. So first up are 2 informational items. First, we just have the staff report, normally from Nikki, but Nikki's not here today, so Miranda will be sharing the Parks Manager staff report.
I will, yeah, Nikki unfortunately could not make it, so I'll just go over her notes. First things first, I think most of you know that Nikki actually handles our safety for the town of Nederland. She is our insurance safety supervisor. So one really cool thing that happened is at the beginning of October, they held a safety meeting where they covered all sorts of things like safe driving, handling chemicals, back injury prevention, trench safety, confined space. So she helped to coordinate all that, and there's a great picture in the BOT report that Nikki put together of the Public Works team, which is utilities, parks, and streets. So always appreciate that Nikki puts safety first. She always has, she always will, and she takes the lead on making sure that all of our staff are well trained. They also had a really cool event that Andrew helped to set up, the Parks and Public Works attended. It was a children's event on Friday, September 29th, where they talked to kids and parents about the equipment that's used for streets and parks and utilities, brought out some of the equipment for the kids to see, talked about how fire hydrants were operated, tested a fire hydrant, so they were able to have water shooting everywhere, and it was a very exciting event for the kids. So cool that the Public Works team did that. Some specific parks, as you all know, Nikki finalized the reporting for the GoCo grant. So that has all been put into place. I think it's incredible though that the match for in-kind, which is between staff and equipment time, was $347,945 worth of match for that Barker Meadow Park. So that's incredible. That was a grant where there was a cash match that had to come to the table. Everything we did was in kind. And so pretty amazing when they kind of all break it down and they track that. She computed that there was 1,082 person hours that went into that. She also highlighted the beautiful bouquet that you all got her. So thank you again for that. They're obviously switching gears now. It's about to be ice rink time. So the thing that they're working on now is doing an overhaul of the Zamboni that's used, of course, for the smoothing out the ice. New hoses and hydraulic lines to replace the old cracked leaking lines, new cap rotor, points, and other maintenance that's done on the Zamboni. So working alongside the rink team to make that happen, but Mark Schlosser, one of the parks employees, is pretty well versed in that, and he's really taking the lead. The DDA also recently funded a nice little facelift for the pedestrian bridge. So if you haven't been over there, we encourage you to do so. It really hasn't seen a lot of maintenance in almost 37 years. So thanks to the DDA and our ability to contract that out, we were able to get that done. those are kind of the main things Nikki has highlighted, but I was always super busy getting ready for winter. They're gonna start to shut down the water and get all of the facilities set for winter to come. And then start to switch gears too to holiday lighting, getting the town set up with lighting and everything else they do for the winter season. So that is her report.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Miranda/Nikki?
What are they gonna do in the winter? When there's snow everywhere, how are they?
The
how are they gonna
rink.
Keep busy,
The rink,
the rink,
they run the rink. So they're volunteers, but our staffs the rink.
cool,
So that's where most of their time goes.
awesome.
Of course, always looking for volunteers.
I wanna learn to help drive the Zamboni.
Let her know that you're looking to volunteer. Always looking for volunteers, but that's really where the whole team just switches. And then, of course, doing the lighting around town takes a couple weeks,
Cool,
getting out the lighting set. But yeah, rink has been what takes up their time from November to about March. Yeah, it's good.
yeah.
I guess one other question, can you remind me, because Nikki does sidewalks
Yes.
and streets does everything that isn't.
So Parks does sidewalks and parking lots.
Yeah.
And streets does everything else.
What about
Including snow
crosswalks?
removal?
Okay, go ahead.
That's snow removal. They do snow removal on sidewalks and parking lots. So when it snows, their team is all over there. It's split in many ways between rink and that. But yeah, they do all the snow removal. That's why you all got that gator.
Yeah.
To help with that and a lot of the summer tasks. But yeah, that's a lot of their time. And then streets, of course, is out there doing just the streets. Crosswalks are a little tough because that's CDOT. If you're talking about highway
It's
crosswalks.
all CDOT.
All
Because it was on the bot objectives to redo the crosswalks, right?
Right, and so that's a Safer Main Streets grant through CDOT and Dr. Cog, but they'll still maintain the plowing operations.
Okay, well, I guess that's what they do as well, plow side.
Yeah, they also
That's a
plow.
lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's-
Sidewalks and and all the parking lots, yeah.
I didn't realize parking lots.
Yep.
Fabulous. All right. Thanks,
I do have
Miranda.
one question. It's small. I know last meeting, Nikki's not here, obviously, and we adjusted the meeting time. She was gonna give us a presentation about the history of the special district. Should we probably just put it on for next meeting if she's up for it and has the time?
She was gonna need more time anyways, which is why we didn't
Okay,
even
cool.
forward, sorry, should have.
Totally.
So
All
she
good.
does intend to do that in November.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
reminding. I thought Sam, I meant to mention that too, so thank you. All right, so next up, I believe we have our friends from Godot Communications. Miranda, will you be putting the timer on the screen or should I keep time for them?
I can, do you want me to keep doing that? I'm happy to.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Remind me, this is 10 minutes?
it is, yes, so welcome, Godot. I don't know who's kicking us off, but you have 10 minutes on the agenda and Miranda will put the timer up for you, and thanks for being here.
Excellent. Hopefully we can come in well under 10 minutes for everyone, so you can get on with your more important things. We are here to introduce ourselves to any new faces. A lot of you are familiar at this point. We have had just tremendous engagement on these focus groups. So we are here to introduce ourselves, point you to the link where people can sign up, answer any quick questions you have as sort of, town leadership invested people. And then we're going to get out of your hair because we have been spending just these wonderful, long, productive sessions up in Nederland, and they are, we're getting everything we need from it. People are engaged and locked in. So beginning with, does anyone here have no idea what's going on with the visual identity rebrand project?
I
Miranda,
think an
can you-
overview would be helpful, probably.
Sure, absolutely. Miranda, you want to pitch us? You do such a better job of
Yeah,
this.
so if y'all remember back in the day, we did Reimagine Destinations, which was a Colorado tourism project where we really looked at how do we manage tourism? How do we really handle the tourists that are already coming? How do we really make the most of that experience for them? It wasn't necessarily about how do we bring in more tourists, but how do we really manage what we've never stepped into? We really never operated in that arena before. And so had the amazing opportunity to connect with Reimagine Destinations. And in this Reimagine Destinations program was kind of a set of recommendations. And at the end of it, one of the recommendations was to work on some branding and identity work. There's no better way to communicate to visitors really what it means to be in Nederland, what our expectations are of you as visitors, without having that branding and identity that says, welcome to Nederland, here's who we are, here's what we expect of you. And so had the great opportunity to apply for a tourism management grant that gave us the funding to hire a consultant to assist with this branding and identity work. Had quite a few submissions, but ultimately decided that Godot Communication was going to be the best entity to support us for a variety of reasons. First, being that they understood this wasn't about promoting tourism. We weren't trying to do like a Visit Estes Park, and that's wonderful for them, but not the right thing for us. And many of the proposals really didn't hit on that. Godot really recognized that this is just about really kind of owning and identifying our community, really speaking about the story of who is Nederland, what is Nederland, how do we want to communicate our identity to others who are coming here. And so their whole approach is unique, it's creative, it's outside of the box, it's not your standard branding activity that you might see in other communities. It really centered in on the heart of understanding that Nederland is such a unique place, and they wanted to really highlight that and own that in their process. So far we really appreciated all the work they've done. They have an ambitious goal to meet face to face with our community. So unlike other consultants who may opt to do a survey, they want to sit down with you and they want to hear from you and understand there's no better way to gain an understanding of who Nederland is than doing just that. Also, they're tied to our community. They've been here, they live in Boulder, they love coming up here. They did a public health campaign that highlighted and featured Nederland. So they were already starting to build that network in many ways. And so it just was a seamless transition to move them into this work. So that's kind of where we are and why we're here. And we're excited to be working with them and the work they're doing on these focus groups.
Thank you, Miranda. That was brilliant. We've got a couple mantras in this, right? We are this is not an ad campaign. We are not going for more tourists, right? This is positioning. It's letting people who are interacting with Nederland for the first time or re-interacting with Nederland recognize who you are. And you're going to hear lots of talk about pro-change or pro-growth or anti-progress, all this kind of stuff. And we'll have opinions on this, but ultimately, this is an opportunity for Nederland to define itself in a post-frozen dead guy era with tourists and skis and all this stuff happen. It's a chance for Nederland to take control of their own identity and tell the world who they are before the world kind of comes in and decides who Nederland is for them. So hopefully not controversial. When Miranda said we came in this with the attitude of not just selling more tourists, it's absolutely correct. Throughout this, we'll figure out KPIs beyond just qualitative. I like it, I don't like it, it's usable, it's not. But know that as we meet with the community, we don't have an agenda to double the amount of Subarus parked along Ron's property. Vu, T, do you have anything to add into that before we go to questions and recruit?
No, I mean, just that I'm happy to be here. It's exciting to work with this community and of course, I mean, starting with the community itself, right, rather than looking outwards only makes sense. So this is great. Yeah, happy to take any questions. Anyway, T.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Well, maybe I could just add really quick and I'm hoping you can share it with your network, but to attend one of their sessions. So they have sessions between now and next Saturday. So a pretty short window for round one. This isn't like the only time where you can give feedback, but this is round one. Would ask if you haven't signed up for a session, please do so. They're filling up very quickly. So click on that link.
Link is in the chat.
Yep, I put the link in chat. Miranda has it. I have a couple requests there. So we've got one on tomorrow that is super duper full. We're bringing some extra staff. We got Mayor Billy there. We've got some Eldo people there. It's going to be kind of a full one. But Friday, if you all could look carefully at your calendars, we have this wonderful full day that we would love to make even fuller. Miranda scheduled kind of a coffee date with us for staff, and I don't know if that's an open enroll thing. It probably doesn't need to be. But after that, we are meeting with youth groups to focus a little bit on color palettes, seasonality, feeling, a little bit of that stuff that people under the age of 30, for whatever reason, tend to be better at it than Gen Xers like me. They're a little more genuine in that communication. And we have Mackenzie coming up, who's on our team, raised in Lyons, professor at Front Range. She's this wonderful, wacky, kind of hippie chick with an MFA. And she's going to be running these exercises with students. If you have any youth If you are fairly youthful yourself and don't mind hanging out with a bunch of 17-year-olds and their teachers and things, we would absolutely love to have you. This is going to be a good big person event. And then after that, followed by a 4 o'clock kind of more adult session where we'll follow the standard kind of custom activities that we're doing with each group, depending on the mood and what we need. So those times specifically, please take a look. Otherwise, sign up. If nothing on there works, we will be doing these throughout the month of November. It's just that October is ideation. It's the big idea. It's lots of words. It's who Nederland is. We're writing messages to our future selves to put into time capsules and developing 6-word stories and all this really emotive stuff that goes into this nebulous idea of what is a town in colors, fonts, images. And then in November, we're going to go into more of a reaction to the things that we create from that input. So that's where we'll be, we'll vote at some point. We'll look at fonts. We'll go, does this reflect? Is this too strange? All this kind of thing. So I hope that everyone could join us for all of these, but I realize that not everyone has hours free in their work. So please engage with yourself, reach out to other people. We want the most wild demographics in this. We don't want it to just be quote unquote leadership represented, right? We want cranky famous Dave over there from Eldora with his big old beard telling me that he's never actually opened a book, right? We want that whole experience. So help us get there. Questions for us before we for the next 1 minute and 43 seconds? Yes.
Megan, I have a question. Is there a place at all that we can kind of see the progress of what's being given in October so as to not be redundant in what we might be contributing, or does that kind of get saved until the end?
That is a wonderful question. We are saving and sharing occasionally the input that we've received, but we're not overdoing it, right? Because we're trying to split that line between people being influenced by what other folks said and coming up with something new. A really important thing to hear from this, and I'll do a 20-second story. When a long time ago, we were doing some work with PricewaterhouseCoopers in Russia, and they eventually became Price Waterhouse, and they paid consultants like us $100,000 to rename PricewaterhouseCoopers to Price Waterhouse. And the executives wrote down, and they all laughed because they thought they could have done it themselves. When we hear about hearing the same thing again, instead of thinking of that as redundant, think of it as confirmation. Because if we hear 30 times about the importance of the pioneer spirit in miners when there were 12 families there, when we hear a dozen times about pick your thing that's repeated, even though it feels like a broken record, that is telling us in this design by community that is a real, genuine, important through line that we need to pay attention to and listen to. In fact, really outside the box thinking is super fun, but it oftentimes doesn't make the cut, right? When we sit down with 197 people, if the 198th person says, you know what Nederland really should be famous for, it's carbonated milk, right? It becomes less valuable if nobody said it. And it's kind of our job to take that information and come up with a new outside the box take on it, even if the information itself is just proven, rigorous, empathic, and targeted. Wonderful question. Thank you.
Thanks, Beckett. So we are out of time unless anyone has burning questions for the Godot team before they pop off.
I did send you all just the link to their calendar in an effort to be fast and efficient, but they have an incredible website. So
Website's
that's
really
in the
nice.
chat, but we will also send out the website to make sure you have a chance to look at that as well. And then if you scroll down on the website, you can get to the calendar invite at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will.
Thank you for doing it. I'll be there on Tuesday.
Oh, fantastic, Sam. Looking forward deeply to meeting you. And we're also an open book. ET's email is on there when Miranda says we're local. We're down in South Boulder. We've been to Nederland 300 times. We're up there 4 times a week. Text us, email if you have questions. We're there. There's no silo here at all. In fact, we like it because it means that we're being friendly and open to the town.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everybody.
The 30th?
All right, so that's it for informational items. The next we head to discussion items, and we have our Prost update team to talk us through updates to chapter 2. You do have 30 minutes on the agenda, although my understanding was that you thought it would take more like 20, so I'm going to put the timer on for 20, and then I will let you know when that goes.
You want to take it? You want me to?
I'm happy to start.
Okay.
Can I first say thank you for picking up the slack, because I was dealing with a sick baby and then now dealing with being sick. And so to Alex,
Sorry.
thank you for like actually making the final edits with Miranda and Nikki for chapter 2.
Everybody, I think everybody has it, but the proposed revised chapter 2 is linked in the agenda, so that's what we're walking through now.
Yeah, and when we uploaded it, so you can, the link, and we also, added a link to the Google Drive, but when we uploaded it, the format was just really bad. That's why we've created a new Word document that's only chapter 2. You'll see these every time we do these. We'll send you just the chapter, and then we'll pull it all together in the end.
I hope your daughter's feeling better, Sam.
She's on the other side, almost. And then now we have it. So, but it's all good.
So chapter 2, pretty short and straightforward chapter, that we actually end up cutting a decent chunk out of to make it even shorter. So, this should be pretty straightforward, but I'll start with what we cut out because Kat had kind of follow-up questions, one-on-one with me and Miranda for that. We cut out the methodology section at the end, which kind of laid out the timeline and the survey kind of details. And I think we're looking at this PROST as definitely not writing on a blank slate, an update to an existing PROST, much of which was not accomplished. So though we want to be updating it, we're retaining a decent portion of the bones of that, incorporating Vision 2030, like I mentioned. So whereas the prior PROST was more writing on a blank slate and starting from scratch, viewing this as more of an update. So we are probably not going to have as extensive as a kind of survey methodology to start with. Second of all, we do not know the details of all that yet because we're going to do the Dr. Cog students again. Nikki put that application in, I believe last week, right, Miranda?
Yep.
And looking for folks versed in surveying, holding focus groups, similar to what we were just talking about, running kind of statistically valid analyses of survey results, things like that. I have no expertise in that. Sam, I don't know if you have any, but we don't have expertise in that. So without outside help, we don't have much information. So we were thinking we could build that back in. Chapter 3 deals entirely with the survey results. So it's kind of redundant already. So just when we talk about the survey results, when we ultimately do it, we'll just have it all in chapter 3. No need to kind of rehash that in chapter 2. So that was kind of the thoughts behind just getting rid of that. Not that we're not going to do surveys, just that we'll contain it to chapter 3. And we don't quite have enough details enough. My understanding is the students wouldn't start till January, like they might be selected towards the end of this calendar year, and then they would start when their second semester starts in January. So any questions on how we're approaching the survey or methodology?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me okay online?
Yeah.
Do you think we should skip, or you would skip chapter 3 like until maybe next year, and then we'd start on chapter 5 next month?
So what we decided when we met last week, when Miranda, Nikki, and I met last week, was some of chapter 3 is just demographics. So chapter 3, section A is all demographics. So Sam, I've all told you for this as well, are going to update like just simply what has changed in town in terms of demographics, population, socioeconomic profile, things like that since 2011, I think, when this data was taken. I'm sure stuff has changed. So updating that. And then chapter 4 Nikki is we're gonna do that this month too, so it's kind of gonna be a hybrid approach, or that's our intention. We might fall short of that goal, because I know Nikki is on vacation. But chapter 4 is the inventory assessment, so just going through all of town's assets and updating that. And there will be some updates, but the bones are there, like, not everything has changed since 2013, but like we've assumed management of the rink, and we have the Barker Meadows Park and things like that. So Nikki is kind of the subject matter expert on that. So we're gonna do section 3A and try to do chapter 4 this coming month. And then yes, to Casey's question, chapter 3, section B on survey results is going to have to wait. Like, we're gonna go to the chapter 5 and 6, and we'll wait to do 3 until we have more information on the survey results. So we're kind of like doing it a little bit out of order, but some of this is just like working with what we have. Like, I can't force these students to appear any sooner than they are. So,
Yeah, and my question was only like, we're still doing that, right?
Right,
Right. So I just wanted to make sure, since it has been 10 years, that we're still doing a
Totally.
comprehensive survey instead of like public outreach, because
yes.
a lot's changed.
So, no, it's definitely worth resurveying.
Yeah, but it
And
totally makes sense if it's not gonna be exactly in order, because
yes,
we need people who can tell
yes.
us how to do a appropriate survey.
So the last pros had like professional consultants, and
Yeah.
we just don't have that. So we're just kind of working with what we have, being a scrappier team. Does that answer?
Yeah, and then I just wanted to say, I think it's great that we'll try to get some students to help us with this part of PROST as well. And hopefully that works out, because I know they helped a lot with that first push with the assessment. The other question I had in chapter 2 talked about the, I'll just read it out loud. While significant progress has been made since the 2001 plan, some recommendations were not addressed and will be carried forward into this master plan update, including a gateway park to the town of Nederland at the west end of Barker Reservoir to East First Street. So I was wondering if we'd address that at all, or maybe just leave it in there, or.
I feel
just
like I
was
took
wondering
that
about
out in my edits, Miranda.
Oh,
Maybe not.
No, you may have.
Okay.
I had to go and do a cross comparison because
Yeah,
it wouldn't
Miranda has
reflect.
the fun job.
It wouldn't reflect. So that may be an error. Thank you for bringing that up.
Is that Barker Meadows?
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for
that's been
catching
Yeah,
that.
okay, great.
Yeah, come on.
Because we shouldn't even be referencing the 2001 plan.
Yeah,
At all.
That has been removed. Thank you for catching.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So we can flag Barker Meadows and.
Yeah, so you'll see this list of accomplishments we went through. Barker Meadows is in there, new playground equipment at Chipeta, just creation of the Parks Department at all and funding of it. Some more work at Chipeta.
And we were gonna do,
Oh, sorry, I had a question. The playground equipment at Chipeta,
Mhm.
when was that new? Because I know we're right
So
now
Nikki
writing
got a-
grants for new.
yeah, Nikki got a
We're
GoPro
going
grant
to
for that.
15.
And she's only been with us for 7 years. So.
Okay, so it's referencing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why we flagged this is we realized that one of the helpful documents for us will be actually the budget books. Every year in the budget book, the first couple pages are highlights of the great things that have happened. So we want to go back and pull all of those. That's why this is not an exhaustive list, nor will it be the final list. We want to go in and make sure we capture all of that. And perhaps, Kat, maybe you're referencing that years might be helpful when we completed this in this
Yeah.
set year.
Yeah.
I also think that acquisition of Mud Lake and Wingate, like, because I'm assuming you're referring to what's now Moose Meadows, right? The South Mud Lake, or is that a different part of, because Mud Lake is Boulder County?
I think this is left over as well. I think Nikki was supposed to update this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wingate is not technically acquired yet.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I think maybe there's
Right.
some. Yeah, it sounds like maybe just
Yes.
editing.
Yeah, sorry, perhaps maybe we should just pull the list out because that's still very much a work in progress. And we kind of just skipped over it because it was like, oh, we need to do a lot more work on that and didn't have enough time to pull it all together. So I feel confident that Nikki and I could finish this list and bring just this section of chapter 2 back to you all in November when we bring the next section.
Yeah, and I like adding years in parentheses. I'm adding that to a comment.
Yeah. One other thing, just like, I don't know if this is small or not, but the very first page says that this will provide guidance for 5 to 10 years. And I think in the interest of being like specific, I think we should just make it if it's gonna be a 10-year plan, it should be a 10-year. specific measurable goals, just like the town, like, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that.
This changes, I'm just gonna make it on my copy. Are you making it on?
I was gonna make a suggesting note because I thought we wanted to keep a red line.
Yes, and I'm gonna make it here.
This is the document management of this.
Yeah.
Really stressful.
Oh, yeah, we looked everywhere for the Word doc, so it's been, so bear with us if we do a version. Cause it's not like a copy out of Google, it takes all it's.
Yeah, it's like an attorney. So stressed out.
And then I have one other specific word thing, and then I'll be quiet and let other people talk, but there's a quote in here, Netherlands' unique and stunning setting in the natural world. There's like a whole quote there. And it says something toward the end about a walkable, attractive, and well-planned town. And I would strongly suggest turning walkable into accessible, since not everyone can walk, and we want the town to be accessible.
My only hesitation would be that's the adopted vision statement. So we wouldn't want the Vision 2030 statement to be different than what was adopted by the Board of Trustees.
No, I get that. I think I would like to go on the record that walkable does not mean accessible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So Miranda, that's not the adopted, that's their overall goal. So
That's
it
their
is a direct
vision.
quote. The vision is up there.
You're
I
right.
mean, I'm fine putting brackets around it and putting accessible, like replacing the word, but indicating it's an alteration to the quote.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Because it's not adopted. I just took out language from.
Oh, fab. Okay.
But I want to indicate we're altering the quote. My quote to rewrite.
Thank you.
Are you turning?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's why it's so great she's on this project.
No, no one thinks that.
We do think that. We all love that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I love that.
Said no one ever.
Well, I just finished watching Suits.
Oh. See, I've never watched it.
Yeah.
They're both attorneys.
Casey is too.
We got our legals over there.
Great. Ready, but now.
You guys have about 9 minutes left, so feel free to.
Sorry, I'm making the changes and try changes.
One thing else that you'll see, if you look at the draft is pictures, because of formatting nightmare, we're going in and adding the pictures later. So if you have pictures you'd love to see in the process, we'll take them. But for the next 10 months we do this, you're only gonna see the narrative, and then we'll start to incorporate into the photos.
So we're gonna update the photos too?
Yeah, that's great. But we didn't want to mess with, it's hard enough as is. I was like, I'm not doing the photos.
Yeah. Is Peter helping with that, or what?
No, so well, maybe. I think once we get to that point, we'll decide how it makes sense to add in photos.
Yeah.
But yeah, since it's so hard to go from the Google Doc to this Word, we're going photo-less for the time being.
I think the only other thing I would say is, like I said, Envision 2030 is obviously the main change here, and only this statement that's in the kind of gray box was adopted by the Board of Trustees, but they have a lot of great underlying documents, like I was talking about with May, just where, like the document where the objective is coming from, where the accessible versus walkable, and they have lots of other great documents that we have in our drive and we'll be relying on throughout as we update this plan. So
Yeah, so what's in that gray box was adopted, and then the one quote below it is the other official adopted statement.
The one that starts in 2030?
Yeah, the one that says in 2030.
one is the overall vision and one is the Parks Recreation Open Space Subcommittee vision statement. So both of those are in there. So kind of it, not to belabor the point. We'll be back, it sounds like, with maybe updates to some of chapter 3 and some of, or all of chapter 4, and then the updated accomplishment list with years taken from the budget book. Okay.
How many chapters are there total?
We don't know. We don't want to
Okay, we're getting down there.
We're taking it one chapter at a time. Don't ask.
Did anybody else have any questions or comments? Sam, I think you just tried to say something.
I was just gonna say that chapter 3, I think, will feel very relevant to a lot of what we're doing here on the board, and so it'll be pretty exciting. Stay tuned. There are 7 chapters.
Thanks, Sam.
7? It's nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
But we
Yeah,
skipped chapter
it's not-
1.
Formatting
Yeah.
alone makes me feel like there's 45 chapters.
Yeah. We're looking to streamline here.
But AI will do all the work for you.
Sam's already suggested that. That also stresses me out, so.
I'm just gonna do it old school. for
Yeah.
the time.
You can't do all that. This doesn't work well, like all of this. I've used some of it, but it doesn't work well, the whole document, like in it entirely. There's some critical thinking, that like the AI doesn't know in this case.
Handle the format.
Yeah.
It'll probably handle
Oh,
it.
formatting, yeah, for sure.
Just some weird, I think as we start to make more edits, maybe, but yeah, I think we're all in
Yeah,
old.
formatting for sure.
PPT, what should we
Let's
do for the next
figure it
10
out.
years?
I'll do a workshop. Yeah, exactly.
Don't even want to know.
Maybe you could write the executive summary.
There we go.
That might actually be quick at it.
That's a good idea.
So, all right. Are you guys good or should we, you have a couple minutes, but
Just
if
wanna-
you're done, then you're done.
Just want to say thank you to
Yeah.
everyone who's working on this and yeah, excited for the next couple months to.
Yeah, thank you for all of
Chime in.
your time and work on this for sure.
Our
Is that-
pleasure.
As I'm getting up to speed here, for the surveying part of it and like the students you're referencing earlier, what is the work in motion there? Do you need help with that? Where is it at?
That's a good question, one that Nikki would be better equipped to answer because she applied for the students. So it's DRCOG stands for Denver Regional
Council of Governments.
Okay.
Yeah, and they help connect us with graduate students who need projects for their thesis,
Okay.
capstone, whatever. So we had folks do an accessibility survey at Chipeta last semester, and you can kind of say what you're looking for. So, and the students can like review the proposal, and then they kind of like pick you, and then someone connects us with them.
Okay.
So we don't know if we've been picked yet. I think we're kind of in the waiting phase. And there's also this desire to keep our group to only 2 PROSAB members for the open records laws. But if there's a way to like segment the student work and the student relationship, and you're interested in that, I can't speak for Sam, but I'm more than happy to loop you in there.
Totally.
So
I think we welcome that. That helped.
Yeah, I'm interested in who we're looking to hire, or if we're saying what we're looking for.
what did Nikki
Yeah.
say?
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, the students have to pick us.
Right.
So we submitted a proposal, saying here's what we're doing, and then we hope that the students pick us. There is no budget for this, they just do it as their capstone.
Sure. Who we recruit, do we say any specifics of what kind of focus we're looking for?
Yeah. So she filled out, so this is at CU Denver, right?
Yeah.
And then you say what specific skills or qualifications would be helpful for the capstone students? And we were talking about data collection, community outreach, designing surveys, synthesizing results, any survey software, like that sort of thing is what we listed.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Question, real quick question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Is CT here? I just don't, is CT here tonight? I thought I heard your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
CT, you're quite
I'm online.
fluent in surveys, aren't you? And statistical
Sure
sort
am,
of stuff
yeah.
like that. Maybe you could help us a
Yep,
little with
I'm a
that.
data engineer. I definitely could, yeah.
Yeah.
Could we
I don't know
ask
if
them
if you're open to it.
designing trails, for example?
So it's too late, the application already passed.
Well, next year or
Yeah.
whenever?
Yeah. I think this is like a biannual
Mhm.
opportunity.
Yeah, and we typically focus on PROSAB for this opportunity because SAB has the Masters in Environmental Science group. So yeah, I could see this being recurring for us,
Cool,
but unfortunately, this application's already.
sure.
Yeah, let's do the 9th.
But that's like within the supposed skill sets of these students, to your knowledge.
Potentially, I mean, again, I think it's everything and anything.
Yeah, I think it's
just
all like
CU
the
Denver
grad
capstone.
schools.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Denver.
they might have like land management masters or
Right, so
natural
any-
resource management masters.
Anyone who's interested in
Urban
working-
and regional planning.
Oh,
You're looking for trail
Trail design?
wildlands restoration volunteers, WLRB.org.
but yeah, urban and regional planning should certainly have people who are learning about like building parks and,
I would think
I
so.
worked with them building trails.
yeah, they're an awesome nonprofit.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Can you
they
say-
like, they get volunteers to come do stuff,
They
basically.
get volunteers.
Can you write that down on my?
Yeah,
You
didn't
sent
they,
to me, too.
wait, I don't know her
Cynthia?
name, Cynthia. Didn't they just do a bunch of stuff at Calwood with the burn?
Wildlands Restoration Volunteers, they do stuff from like Boulder County to.
Yeah, I feel like I just saw this huge project that
They have
did.
like regular stuff that's going on, right?
Yeah.
You know, seed dispersal and trail rebuilding. That's I've done like the trail rebuilding stuff with them at like Diamond Lake and up at Brainerd and building like whole new trail systems and things like that. They probably have resources to connect you with people who would be great. If, you know, and they may also show up with volunteers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really great point. All right, friends, shall we move on from this? We good? All right, thanks, everybody. Okay, so last item on the agenda, I mentioned Alex will have like a short thing in other business, but last item on the agenda is an action item related to the pump track concept plan. Jesse and Miranda, there is 15 minutes on the agenda for this. Are you guys comfortable? You can like have a discussion, answer questions, and like call for the vote in that time period, or?
I was gonna let you introduce this with Sam, and then I can help facilitate the vote.
So thanks so much for helping me prepare the AIM, Miranda. And I was really essentially a pass-through entity in this, basically the transition from the initial design team.
Wait, sorry, I was just asking, do you think 15 minutes will be
Oh.
sufficient? Should I put the timer on for that, or should I allocate more? And I think we will have public comment on this, so please take that into consideration.
Well, let's do our presentation in about 10 minutes because I think it'll be super short, and then we'll save for discussion the rest. And
You'll
we'll
have to
do-
track time, because now I'm sharing screen.
Okay, I will allocate 20 minutes,
Yeah.
so try to have all of the conversation during that time, and then if we need more time, we can
Okay.
check in at the end of it.
So basically, I don't have anything to report other than that this is the first draft of the design. So, and that should be in your packet. And Miranda assisted with putting the AIM together. Very grateful to that. And we received that. Miranda had the suggestion that we stop here first and discuss it amongst ourselves before giving them feedback. And then they're going to go into another round of design and make it a little more. They're going to invest more time in it, and it's going to be more robust. So now's a good time for us to steer them so that they don't waste their efforts. And this was their initial first draft, and this is our first opportunity to give them feedback on their design direction. And I think that's really where we're at with it. We do have public comments submitted from Tanya pretty last minute, and she wanted to remove some of the kids' playground stuff and just focus more on the actual pump track aspects of it. And I haven't read her comment, but she texted me with me today kind of saying that was the gist of it, and Sam briefed me as well. And
I've got it pulled up if you want to, if you want me to read it.
I think that's basically the long and short of it. That's the nature of our presentation. And I think from here, I don't know what we're going to do to solicit additional feedback, Miranda, from the community, or if we should wait until the next round.
Yeah, so I think the question before you is, are you ready? Like, do you feel like you have enough here to give direction to American Ramp Company to keep going, which is then 3D renderings? And I really think it's at that phase that you're gonna solicit feedback, because this is obviously this flat image, I think Kat brought it up, it's kind of hard to see in context to the landscape. So I think the question is like, do you feel like you have enough here that you feel comfortable saying keep going?
Let me explain some
Yeah,
things
could
to
you
you if
tell
I
us
can
what we're
look.
looking
Yeah, so
I looked at it and I couldn't tell.
basically like the dirt track over on the top right, where the number 3 is, that I'm not exactly sure what that is. I think that is like the kids' playground area. So this is more beginner style features, and then you can see the path there to the right of the 3. That's the existing path to the playground, which is over here, kind of below the number 3.
The pavilion's
Pavilion
here, right?
is clear off the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the basketball court is right behind the knockout bubble, the white bubble there on the left. You can see the basketball court kind of in the background underneath. It's semi-transparent, so and then on the top left of the track itself, you have a wall ride. So you can get up a good amount of velocity, and then you can just rail off of that wall and then swoop back in. It's gonna be so fun. So that's basically what we're looking at. Any questions?
I'll add in sort of my thoughts on it. And I actually, after seeing the first draft, I'm in agreement with what Tanya sent through, which is that there's an over focus at the moment on like a kids area, like a little kids area, versus utilizing the space well to have a longer pump track to ride. And it's worth reading Tanya's comment if you have seen it. There's just a little bit more to it, and I'll read it. Not all of it, but I'll read some of it because I think it's relevant, and I feel the same way.
Let me point out one more item. in the
Go ahead.
design.
Go ahead.
There's the wide area on the top right-hand corner of the asphalt portion. That would be kind of like your grouping area and your start and stop, and you wait in line to take your turn. So that's what that is.
Where it says start hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you, Jesse.
And did you guys,
Yeah.
what led to the children's thing? Because I frankly hadn't heard
I
us
think
talk
it
about.
was Nikki, to be honest. So I kind of feel like before we totally axe it, I'd like to let Nikki kind of make her pitch for if she does really want it on there. And one of the initial inspirations for Nikki that she presented it to Sam and I initially for doing it here is that she saw the kids practicing on the basketball court. And that's what kind of got her thinking along this whole brainstorm. And so I've heard Nikki talk about that. That was one of the things that she talked about in Bentonville quite a lot. She was kind of most drawn to the areas. And so, but I think we have other pocket parks that we could use. I think that we could do this a little more within the community, a lot more easily. And I kind of agree with Sam and Tanya that the pump track is the more technical aspect of it, and you can really do it at a very beginner level too.
Right.
My daughters are basically able to do it already, so.
Yeah, like what's the age range for the kid thing? Like what's the max age?
Oh, I think anybody can ride on it. It's-
No, but like they're, like how,
Like the
What's the-
intended.
yeah, like the,
Intended age, maybe. Probably preschool, maybe 5, 6. Would be
Okay.
my guess looking at it, right?
Oops.
Yeah. Sam, do you want to go ahead and read? And then we'll.
Yeah, let me
continue?
just read Tanya's comment because I think it's relevant, so it's not too long. She wrote in, "Hi, I saw the design for the pump track and the information provided seems insufficient to make a decision. One half appears to have decorative hoops as well as a tunnel and some wooden walkways. This part, and those are to ride on, is the intention. I'm adding that in. This part seems designed for the under 5-year-old group. I feel like the features seen in this design are not interesting enough to warrant paying money for them. It seems very playground-like, and the bike features don't teach the young ones anything that couldn't be found at Mud Lake or created cheaply. Doesn't need to be engineered. The other half seems more like a pump track, but the design isn't very detailed. I would prefer the entire space be a pump track. It's a very small space, and the NDDA approved funds to design a pump track. Examples were shown to be all flow or pump track elements and not this playground. She kind of called it a playground edition. I think this needs to go back to the drawing board. I would vote no on this if it came before the BOT or NDDA. Thanks so much. I do appreciate your work and efforts. This is just my preference." So I agree with her on that entirely. And I think that it's very relevant. And so,
Thank
yeah, I think we just are at the point, my opinion now, this is not Tanya, is that we say, hey, okay, this is, starting point. Let's take it back to the drawing board and see a pump track throughout the entire space that we've allocated for it. Versus adding in smaller kid, like little kid features. And then we look at, could we just, those are not so crazy to build, quite frankly, in a volunteer way. They're pretty straightforward. And we could even add them, like, you could add them on the edge potentially where space isn't being utilized for the pump track and get a similar effect is my guess. Now I'll still let Nikki chime in when she has a chance to, and Jesse, because you guys went to Bentonville and you learned a bit there of what they were doing and incorporating
agree.
everybody. So I think that perspective.
I agree. I feel like there's a lot of other areas where we could do little features for kids and whatnot, little zones.
Yeah, we could add them all,
Yeah.
like have volunteers,
Yeah.
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 Would that mean though that we'd be removing the dirt aspect of it and it would all be asphalt, or could we still keep some of the track dirt?
That's a good question. I think in this, it's hard to tell like what their intention is here with the dirt, like if they actually intend to add any kind of 3D nature to that dirt, or it's just like all kind of flat and then a little feature, which changes it. But I think from a kind of from the very beginning of this, one of the things we're pushing for is asphalt just from a maintenance capability and the ability to ride it more of the year, just with the weather we have. Like that's our big challenge.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Sam and Jesse, for
Sure.
sending off.
Your work.
So
any-
I also say like, my recommendation would be to, vote that this goes back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
Based on my experience with it.
Clarification, so you don't have to vote today. You can also do a motion to
Okay.
table vote because you're giving feedback to American Ramp Company to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But eventually, yes, before they work on the 3D design, it would be good to have an official vote on record for PROSAB saying,
Yeah.
yes, this is what you're gonna build your 3D off of. So it sounds like initially you're not quite ready, so you should potentially motion to table.
And then we could hear from Nikki potentially next month about the children's.
Nikki said she's not committed at all to the
Oh,
children's
okay.
center.
Well,
Just so you had a,
Okay.
I mean, these are contractors we're working with that like to try to move. I told Kat this, like to try to be mindful of the fiscal year that we're operating in. And so that's, here we can get them the feedback, the better.
Yeah.
Can I ask just clarifying question? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, but this is the same footprint as was in the original presentation with the larger picture, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was like that, it's exact same footprint as the original proposal that the BOC
Yeah.
approved, right?
Yep.
Okay, great.
And-
And at some point, we should figure out when board questions are done and open it up to public comment, but I'll leave that to you.
Well, I think that's the long and short of it for where we're at with this design process. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious to hear from everyone here and also from the public, so.
Yeah, well, and I think it sounds like, unless I'm incorrect, it sounds like everyone's pretty much good with what Miranda suggested, which is tabling the vote and giving feedback to the RAM company and then having it come back. Is that, sounded like you were up for that.
Well, yeah, either that or we tell the ramp company to nix the kids' playground and then.
Right, I think ultimately you want to vote from PROSAB before the 3D renderings happen, so, but
Yeah.
there's no desire. I guess my only ask is, again, being mindful of kind of the consulting component here, is that maybe PROSAB entertain a special meeting, just a really quick, potentially even virtual, when they're ready with their new 2D drawings to bring the group back together versus waiting an entire month. Because they'll have those 2D drawings done in probably a week.
Yeah. You're
So
right.
it would be really great if people were open to considering that, and maybe American Ramp Company can come. We have a special kind of specific to looking at updated 2D renderings.
That's a good idea.
Is there anything else that we feel that anybody has any feelings about though, other than just nixing the kids area? Because it seems like we give them that feedback to redraft the 2D without the kids area.
But are you just not gonna put anything up in that upper area, or are you gonna
No,
want to
we're just
extend
gonna
that?
make the pump
Yeah.
track bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Right, I think that'll
like,
take a little time.
I think my like 2 cents would be, yeah, I think the whole thing should be a pump track to like as the basic foundation. Because as Tanya said, it is a relatively small space and that's the priority for the actual engineering and building. And then we can have that be like kind of phase 1 and over time we can add in features and like for smaller kids and stuff. But that's just my personal 2 cents.
Do you think we should take public comment and then maybe vote?
Is it
or-
possible to limit public
don't think we're
comment
gonna
to the design?
Oh,
I think we're
You
gonna
still
vote.
need to vote on, you just need to.
Oh, we have to vote to table. Got it.
Is it possible to not relitigate pump track in public comment, but to just talk about the design? Because we can certainly relitigate at a future point in time, but that's not what's before PROSAB, so that would be an off agenda topic. Is that, okay?
I mean, everyone will be limited to 3 minutes regardless, including any like responses to questions.
Yeah.
So I think I'm hesitant to like really be too stringent
Okay.
about what people can say, but I do want to remind everyone that there will be a 3-minute limit on public comment. And I would strongly encourage people to focus on the topic at hand, but I'm not super comfortable telling people that they can't express their.
Can I
Yeah,
add though
I
that
meant more just to agenda item, like
Yeah.
anchor it to what's on the agenda.
I would encourage people who are maybe confused about why this is still at Chipeta to go look at the Engage Nederland page about this, because there's that letter from PROSAB that outlines that other places were looked at, and ultimately this is the decision. And so that is why this continues to be designed here. And so I would, if you have not looked at the Engage Nederland, I'll put a link in the chat. It's an important place to go to look at the letter from PROSAB.
And the site design is tied to Chipeta.
Correct.
We cannot be moving it between sites
And
at
that's
this
all
point.
that's happening right now, is
Yeah.
just design. We're just
Yeah.
coming up with a design for a pump track at Chipeta Park. And the whole litigation process of whether to move forward or
No
not
actual litigation.
is going to happen. Well, it is
Yes,
going to
yes,
happen
it will.
when we apply for a building permit and when, before funding
Yeah.
is approved. It'll have to go to the BOT with public hearing, and it'll have,
Yeah.
maybe go to a townwide vote.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I said we don't need to do that right now.
Yeah, so, but this is just the design. This has already been funded and approved and gone through the Netherlands planning process.
There was a question really quick in the chat though, asking if the renderings were part of the $10,000 that the DDA approved, and the answer is yes. That's
Yeah.
it.
And basically what we're doing tonight is trying to get the 2D to a place where it makes sense to spend the time on
Well, if we're
3D.
gonna table, I think we should go for a nod of 4 that we want to direct the design company to nix the kids area and make the pump track bigger. And I don't think that'll take them very long. And then I think we could do a work session once we get that updated 2D rendering before we push them to 3D renderings.
Agreed.
And once we have 3D renderings, then we go to the public, right?
Yep.
That's kind of what we're
Yep.
thinking. Okay, do we?
I think the desire was to do public comment just before you do that not afford to see if there's any other
Yeah.
considerations for
Do you want me
changes.
to take a list so you can like answer questions and stuff?
Of the public, there's a lot. Okay.
Well, there's 2 folks here and then there's like 4 or 5 people online, so.
Starting.
So I'm gonna just take a list of anyone who would like to offer public comment. Are both of you on the list or?
I would.
I didn't sign up.
I didn't sign up.
Oh, you don't have to sign up.
You can
But-
still make.
That's what okay, so May and then Cynthia. Who online would like to give public comment? If, I guess either speak up or put your name in the chat. Okay, I think we just have.
Echo.
Might be, these are 3.
Okay, and then Kathleen.
You might let Kathleen go first because she's calling in. So she doesn't have to stay on the phone the whole time.
Okay.
And Kathleen, I probably just had to mute you. So if you're okay with that, *6, Kathleen.
Kathleen Chipai, 32 resident, 22-year business owner. I'm against the bike pump track at Chipeta Park, and I think it would fit better up by the tennis courts and the ice skating rink. And I don't understand why we've spent money to design something for Chipeta when it hasn't been approved as the space. From what was just said earlier, I don't know if I'm not hearing it correctly, but I think that I don't see why that the rendition can't be placed anywhere else outside of Chipeta Park. And I would like to say I'm a little concerned that PROSAB nor the town reached out to the public to let them know this meeting was happening tonight, which is an irregular meeting. And so I found that to be disturbing. And I know it changed my day knowing I had to show up tonight to put on record that Chipeta Park is not the best place for this. I think it's going to change the atmosphere altogether, and we're not supposed to be putting asphalt near the water. I don't know why we're just disregarding all these other things. And I think the money was spent irrationally, and I will be advising the DDA not to spend any more money on the bike pump track whatsoever. And I think the rendition, I mean, if what we're looking at is a 1-page photograph that I'm looking at, that's all that's in the packet. And this is what $10,000 got us. I just can't, I can't conceive it. It's a no wonder that the country is $31 trillion in debt, because what wasteful spending, in my opinion. So I think that we can take what we have and we can move it up by the elementary school for the kids. It shouldn't be in the central business district. Shouldn't be paid for by the NDDA, and it's not going to generate money for the town of Nederland. So it's not the best use, and it changes and alters the complete tranquility of that park. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Jesse, did you want to address any of the couple of points about the location being approved?
Good points.
Maybe I can just really quick, just a reminder that this did run through the NPP. The concept was included Chipeta Park as the location, and through every board, you did receive approval to continue forward with Chipeta Park being the location that the design occurred for. So I would say that it did run through it's run through a couple rounds, but that was an initial round where the decision was to make it Chipeta. And those boards asked for evaluation of locations, which is why PROSAB ultimately issued a letter stating Chipeta Park is the final location after the evaluation that was done.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Miranda.
And changing locations would require running through the MPP again.
Correct. And just so everyone's aware, how these renderings work is that they need topographical information. So you can't just pick it up and plop it somewhere else, because they're really taking into consideration the contour of the landscape as they design this. And so we did have to provide Jesse and Sam provided a lot of data and mapping in order for them to design this. And I understand the 2D may look pretty elementary in many ways, but there's no reason to go straight into 3D renderings if we don't like the general idea.
Right.
So they're not going to spend time on 3D until they know we like the location of how it's formatted in Chipeta Park, and then how the design looks.
Yeah, and this won't be the end for what the money will go to do a revision of the 2D and then the 3D and like all of the design. So just to clarify.
And Jesse and Sam helped to save money because there wasn't be an additional cost to do some of the surveying, and Jesse and Sam were able to acquire and build the right documentation and data they needed to do this.
Nice, thanks guys. All right, Cynthia, do you want to go next?
Is there anyone else online?
Nobody else spoke up wanting to get on the queue, so I've got the two of you.
Okay, well, again, I wanna, I know I hear you saying you don't wanna litigate the spot, but I think unfortunately, there were a lot of people that weren't involved in the process or felt like they weren't heard. Okay, so I get what you're saying, but I ask for your indulgence to listen, because there are reasons. I remember when we dedicated that park, the whole idea of dedicating it to Chipeta, the White Computer Ray. Kenny Frost came and Neil Cloud from the Southern Youth Reservation and blessed the park. And then we had a yearly powwow after that for a while. And it's supposed to be a place of tranquility, of peace. It was during this time that we put up the peace markers, the peace prevail on earth in 4 languages. And that includes peace with nature. I think a lot of people were confused by the town's wonderful language for rights of nature, our commitment to creekside locations. You might notice by now I like creeks and I love to be around them. During the last rains, I took pictures where this pump track is going to be, not because it's where the pump track is going to be, but because I like that place along the creek. Beautiful photographs of water on the willows, water dripping, the water swirling. It's a very restorative place. And you know, back in the day, in the 80s, we talked about diversity, and that included people and plants and animals. And I feel like the diversity of our community hasn't been fully represented in formulating this plan. And that's that. really solicit more comment, because I think there are a lot of people that don't like this idea. And for my last 30 seconds, I just want to say, if you follow world events at all, you'll know there are horrible famines in Africa, horrible hardship in Syria, Palestine, all these places where people are dying of hunger. And I just wonder, do we really want to spend $500,000, whether it's our money or not? I don't think it fits in with the be rustic, carry wood and water, live simply. That's what's made the town what it is, and this is going to fundamentally change it. And I really don't think I am in favor of it. I know I love Jesse.
Thank you, May. May, can I ask your last name for the minutes?
Sure, it's Jarril, Jarril.
Thank you. M-A-Y is your first name?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I'm Cynthia Bachman, B-A-K-K-E. I live in Ward. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me online. I'll speak up if you can't hear me. I live in Ward. I talked to some folks who are both for and against developing this at Chipeta. I've been here over 2 decades. And I'm a veteran with PTSD. I spent a lot of time in the little park that was created for veterans. This is an area where folks who have wheelchairs can chair right up to and have a space where they can sit. This was dedicated by some veterans in town. It was a very big deal. And some other veterans in town asked me and wanted to make sure that their access was insured. I have working legs, I can walk there, and I do. And I spend a lot of time, it's very calm. It's very calm. I've been through a lot of shit in this life, and I love to have a very calm space in a tourist-laden town that has only gotten more so. And as somebody who's worked for the town of Nederland, I'm familiar with how much town open space the town owns and is undeveloped. And I am also for undeveloped parkland, but I feel like there are other areas maybe in town that could be developed. I'm curious about the land up by the rink. I was shopping in town, and that's what hit me to this meeting, because I thought you guys were, you guys met on Thursdays, but I haven't been really connected to the town, so I don't really know. But I was surprised that there was this meeting. It took me by surprise. I happened to be in town. I thought I would show up so I could convey the sentiments of other people and myself. That I would just ask that you consider that when May Gerald, as somebody who's been here for I think 40 years, is saying this is a place of peace, I would hope that you can hear that from both folks who are from her generation and folks who are from my generation and other folks who come and celebrate here. And it's no disrespect. I'm a bicycle commuter. I have a 25-pound twin, and I like to, not like a $4,000 2-ounce bike, but they're like, some cool bike that I would actually take and wreck in a bike pump track. But I think there's a lot of areas where it could be developed, and it's no disrespect, because I understand that a lot of people will come out at the 90% design phase and then just like sideline an entire project. And I've seen it done when I worked for the town, and I hope not to say these things in respect of that. But I would just hope that in regard to really just considering the whole of what Chipeta offers and what it's been and what it is. It used to have rodeos, and there was a lot of things shitting down by the creek, and now we have a lot more respect for it and a lot more honor. And it's no disrespect for the future generations. I want them to just like rage it out. But I think there are areas where they could do that. And I feel like parents are chauffeurs and they will drive anywhere for their kids. So it's not like they have to condense all of these activities in the same area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you both so much, and thank you. Last call, any other public comments?
I think we did get one comment in the chat from someone named Kevin. And I can read it out loud, but Kevin, if you're still with us, if you could write your last name, please, in the comments as well, so I can put them in the minutes. I'd appreciate it. But Kevin wrote, "You're ruining our pedestrian park. That area serves as a buffer and transition zone. Those areas are crucial to preserving the tranquil nature of our only pedestrian park. Trails in and out of the park are no bikes. This is a change in design and change of use. Why? Especially when there are so many other unused areas in town."
Thanks, Casey, and thanks, Kevin.
Well,
we definitely appreciate all the public comments and coming out here, and we realized we had to switch up the meeting time, so everyone who was able to make it, and we appreciate hearing from everyone, whether it be back online or in person, so thank you.
And thanks for your service.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, really appreciate it, so. And back to you, Jesse.
I don't know, I guess I'm feeling a little sad about the pushback and
About the what?
the pushback on the location. And I would like for us to be able to recreate throughout our town-owned property. So I hope to build a pump track and then to build trails throughout town that we can walk and bike in. And stroller in and wagon in and cross-country ski and wheelchair in and unicycle in. And I hope that all of these outdoor spaces that are so wonderful and beautiful to all of us can be accessed by veterans and people in wheelchairs and the like, and that there can be sanctuaries found throughout town-owned property. And that we care for Mother Nature, and I do really care about the rights of nature. And
Thank you for that too.
yeah, and it's incredibly important to me as a concept, and I am interested in us practicing that resolution more. I think, like many of our previously agreed upon resolutions and plans, PROS, comprehensive plan, you know, you name it, the master infrastructure plan. I think we've done spent a lot of hours as volunteers planning and resolving and identifying who we are and what we stand for. And I would very much like to see that all of those documents, all of our legacy worked into our daily actions and efforts. So the rights of nature is definitely within that.
So, yeah, Jesse, if you want to maybe propose how to address the action item currently on the agenda, and then if you're interested, I mean, I think it would be interesting to propose like a, you know, possibly like a public engagement session on this or a listening session, but I think we should probably kind of wrap up this agenda item and then figure out kind of some of the bigger picture discussion.
I guess we're not building the pump track. This is not what this public process is about. It's about designing a pump track. It hasn't been approved or funded yet for the final stage, and there's plenty of opportunity to show up and say what a terrible idea this is. So I would like for us to continue on with our design work, and I would like for us to get an auto forward to nix the kids area. And then as far as doing another follow-up work session with the PROSAB, I think that's a fine idea. I think it's probably a good idea, especially if you guys feel inspired to contribute to the design at this point. So, and I think that I'd be fine with inviting the public. I mean, we have to, but I want to try to keep it focused on working on the design as opposed to deciding whether or not to put it in Chipeta Park. That's, I feel like that ship has set sail for the design work. And at this point, we're just trying to create a good design that we love.
And just because we're pursuing this design work doesn't mean that the pump track's ultimately gonna
Correct.
end up in Chipeta, and I think that's important to emphasize. I think people kind of think maybe that we're already kind of hitching our wagon to Chipeta, and I think to build it, and we're kind of just pursuing the design work and what that could look like, and we haven't made any decisions,
Yeah.
or the town has made any decisions on
Yeah.
moving forward beyond the
Design.
these designs.
Yep, exactly.
Cynthia
right.
has a,
I mean, I would just ask, like, you know, and this is related to Chipeta, anywhere, you know, the town owns a lot of property. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, there's some with a steepness, right? You know, if you're looking to create those things naturally, right? I'm a permaculturist, so if you can use the land in ways that you have less hardware, right?
I'll just chime in here real quick on that. It's actually, if it's steep, it doesn't work very well. We need a flat area, just for
Okay,
clarification.
Yeah, I'll do respect,
Relatively
but
flat area.
like,
Just a
you know,
little technical.
up areas where you can design, and unless you're looking for the specific features of that particular parcel, then you're just extrapolating a design on any parcel, and the design is probably a heck of a lot easier to decide in this town than where to put it.
Well, we can put other things to do on steep areas for sure, other than a pump track.
Yeah.
And the ice skating rink might be a good place if it's gets shot down. Maybe we go back to the drawing board and design something at the ice skating.
Yeah, and I don't wanna, like, you know, sidetrack you guys.
Totally.
You guys already have a design and whatnot, but unless it's like you're actually using the land to create the design, then I think you could just pick up the design and just put it anywhere and then work with the features of the land.
Somewhat, yeah. Yeah, somewhat. But in the interest of closing this topic, let's go ahead and see if we can get a nod of 4 to scratch the kids area and send them back to the 2D, another round of 2D rendering, and then we'll call for a special work session on design, and then we'll send them into the 3D renderings. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, I don't know that we need a work set. I think it was more like,
I don't know that we
Go
do
back.
either.
Just a
I don't
vote.
I think we want to make sure that there's a vote on record before
Right.
3D.
So I don't think we need, I think what we're all saying is, yeah, go back, have them recreate the design with a wholly pump track focus. And then we can do like a quickie, like
Special meeting
vote on it. That will obviously be noticed, and, you know, we'll take public comment if there is any, but we don't need to
We'll meet on.
work
basically.
on it.
Or,
Yeah, if that's okay, it's easier to pull those together.
Yeah.
Right, just so it doesn't have to wait a whole.
so it'll just be a special vote, basically. I got you.
once we have the drawings.
Yeah,
Draw.
and at that point, we can still steer the 3D renderings. We can say, okay, we're 90% there, go to 3D renderings, but do this or that. So we can do a little bit of feedback, and we'll public notice it, and it'll just be not necessarily a work session, but a quick meeting.
Special meeting.
Special meeting, yes.
And I think there's opportunities for further public engagement once the design is finalized and you're looking for building permits and things like that.
Well, that'll be like step 2, because I think at that point, it's gonna be those in favor and those against at that point,
Mhm.
because the design work is much more collaborative and creative. So I think we should go put it out to the public once the 3Ds are done, before we go to the BOT for asking for a building.
I
And then
see.
we'll do one more round of edits after we get all that
Yeah,
public input.
so have the 3D, get public input, and then
And then
decide
do
whether or
another-
not to have the BOT.
Yeah, well, after the public input, they'll do another round of updates on the design, and then we can go to the BOT,
Yeah.
or not.
Is there a situation in which, like, we get these 3D renderings, it's voted down, and then we go back to the drawing board for the location assessment again?
We'd need to pay them another $10,000 to design in a new location. And we'd need to go through the Nederland planning process, which is like running the gauntlet and Miranda making it.
Okay, so NPP has already done all this, so,
Saying that in fun.
and sorry again, I'm catching up on like.
No, totally.
just the
Good,
background.
very good question.
But
You have to go to every board, yeah.
do we feel that we have adequate public comment and contribution on the location of this? Because it does feel like once we get the 3D renderings, the conversation on the location is null. Like, once
Well,
those renderings are
it's
done.
already null.
Yeah.
We're listening to May and Cynthia because, you know, obviously we care about you. And those comments will become relevant again, and it's good for us to get them on the record now. However, it's not what the agenda topic is about. We're just in the process of creating a design for Chipeta Park.
I don't think it's null though, because you could start it all over again.
Yeah.
We
That's
just
the-
raise the monies, we
Right.
can do it all over again.
Yes, if you got the.
Like, to be clear,
But you are.
It's only null once you built it.
On the design,
On the design,
Well,
design and
but not the
engineering.
location.
It's
well, the
contingent.
design is location specific.
It's
because
Okay,
of
so you spend
topography.
$10,000 on the location.
Yeah, like you're gonna design a driveway for a property. You're not gonna design and just take that driveway and put it on somebody else's property.
But we're not talking about the design, then we're talking about the design based on the location, so we're talking about the location.
Correct. Yeah, and to be
That's
clear, like,
Saying we're talking about the location, guys.
Well, the location was talked about through the Nederland planning process and proposed and approved.
yeah.
So that's,
So over the last year or so, Jesse and Sam and company have gone to all of the boards, including the BOT, to propose Chipeta as the location and the NDDA as well. So it actually had, like, the BOT and the boards and the Nederland planning process have approved Chipeta as the location.
Yeah.
The design done.
well, I thought it was a preliminary nod. If you want to spend money on this and time, go for it. We're not approving anything. And this is what I've been told over and over again, that there are going to be a lot of opportunities to weigh in and so forth. But the veteran of 4 decades of this, I can tell you that I might go to a meeting and somebody will say, well, we already had 6 meetings on this. And I must say that, I'll just repeat that the other alternatives didn't really seem to be very well researched. And I think people were left feeling shut out. I mean, we already went through this with the pump track at the Gateway Park location. People are really opposed to changing the nature of Nederland. And that's all again in Vision 2030. And small is beautiful, you know. So I just don't think you need to lay down asphalt for kids to have fun on a bike. And I just like this might be a good chance to come before you guys. So I thank you for listening, even though I understand what you're saying. At the same time, I think the comments are relevant because, as you pointed out, you don't design a driveway that you're gonna put anywhere. You don't tell somebody how to sue any horse.
well, but the point is, I agree. The point is we have already been approved and funded to design engineering of Chipeta Park. And that's what we're trying to execute now.
Well, really, the way I see it is, you got $10,000 to do the design. You got the money to go for the conference, great. But when you're talking about a $500,000 project that's gonna forever change one of the most beloved parts of town, a $10,000
Well, we could
investment.
spend 30,000 if you want.
Okay, let's just,
We don't have the money yet, so the budget is undefined. And
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
give that as a range, it could be anyone.
I just feel like you say, it's design and education are inextricably linked. And that's why I think you're gonna continue to get comments that this is an inappropriate location for this type of
This is
design.
the attendance of, throughout the NPP from the public.
I guess my point is it's representative democracy. The Board of Trustees is elected by all of us. Well, you live in Ward, so maybe not you, but for those of us who live within town and they approved this. So we don't all necessarily get to vote on everything. If you're unhappy with how the Board of Trustees approved, don't vote for them next time. Like, don't vote against whoever Jesse's running against. So it's like, we don't all get a voice in it, but it's representative democracy. So that's where we're at right now. Like, we can't take everyone's opinion, like one vote, every person.
And I can tell you, I'm listening to you and I care about your point of view.
Yeah.
I know you do, Jesse.
Happy that you shared your thoughts.
I don't think your ego is really wrapped up in it the way it's, you don't have a business interest in it. You don't rent bikes and fix bikes or anything like that. So, and in terms of representative democracy, at the last board meeting, October 3rd, I heard trustees on a discussion item, just an informational item saying, we're gonna pass this no matter what, even if we have to lock ourselves in a room and lock ourselves away from people who don't want it. We're gonna pass it before there was any discussion. And so I just don't think that's what we should be about.
I agree with you. That would violate the.
I don't-
I don't have any complaints.
Yeah.
I work for the town. Wrote your minutes. I understand how your democracy works. I just wanted to represent the opinions of some veterans who don't have mobility.
Yeah, and in case.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
coming,
you
ladies.
coming. Thank you so much. So I did not realize we had comments on, and we can turn them off, and I think we'll have to do that in the future because it gets very distracting and it's really not possible for transparency to have everyone see the comments.
So- And we do look for board, like not a for, some boards want it, some boards don't. Board of trustees cannot, does not.
Yeah. So wait, sorry, can I ask, I don't want to lose the comments though. So is there a way to save the comments?
We can save them, they'll also show up in the video.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of annoying though, like to have to go through the video. Would you mind saving them? Just because I want to make sure everyone can see them. But I do think,
I took some.
we
yeah,
still need
but I took it
to,
off.
yeah, we still need to take action to table this agenda item, I believe.
Totally.
That's what we have to do. So do you want to make a,
Sure. And this is not,
huh?
did we already do not a four? Or is that not
I
something?
don't know if you really need, I think you're giving direction and you're gonna table this for a special meeting.
We have an action item on the agenda, so I think you just have to make a proposal to table it since we're not going to vote
Yeah.
on it tonight.
Anybody can make a motion, including myself, but are we giving American Ram Company feedback, Miranda, after this?
I was gonna send them a note after this,
And you're basically gonna tell them to scratch the kids out? Okay,
unless there's any other feedback.
yeah, other than that, I think, we're good and we'll, make a motion to table this until a future special meeting.
Would anyone like to second that motion?
I seconded.
Okay. Kat, yes. Sam,
Yes.
CT,
Yes.
Lindsay left, so Kate,
Yes.
thank you. Casey,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Oh my God, who am I missing? This always
Me.
stresses me out. Shouldn't say
You need like something with like our faces, with like a little like circles that you can just.
It really, it stresses me out every time. I'm like, who am I gonna forget? Okay, very much appreciate that. I think that's great. Thank you both for going back to American Ram Company and thank you for everyone for engaging in that conversation. I think it's really important. I think it's hard to hear sometimes, I think, when we're excited about something, but I really appreciate how everyone engaged in that really thoughtfully. And I really appreciate the public that showed up online and in person. So thank
Same.
you, everybody.
When will we know follow-up special meeting?
And once we
Miranda.
get the
Once you get
2D, we'll reach out to try to get a date and time set
Great.
for that.
Okay.
If we could keep it to like 30 minutes, that's gonna make it.
And
easier
virtual
for
only.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love y'all, but yes, please, virtual only. All right, so other business, I think this is where, Miranda, you said this is where I should suggest in the future we turn off comments, so I would like to suggest that.
And get the not a for from the group.
Oh, did the group has to vote on that?
No, I think it would just be good to get like majority board directive that you'd like staff to turn off comments for all meetings.
Okay, does anybody object to chat comments in the future?
The only downside is if someone can't, what if they have a commitment, they have to leave the meeting and they're like third in line to speak and they want to contribute.
I think the recommendation is that they email in situations like that.
I feel like more avenues of communication is better than less in terms of accessibility and transparency.
I don't feel strongly about it. I mean, when someone's audio isn't working, like Lindsay's audio wasn't working and she was typing in the chat, it's not like there'd be a carve out for.
I'm all for public commentary, but I think that particular chat feature is a poor source of record. Should encourage people in situations like that to send in an email. And turn off the chat would be my suggestion. Can't hear a dang thing. Did audio cut out?
And people, can you hear us?
Sam, can you hear us?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Sorry, I
wonderful.
stepped a moment during that bit because I had to get a tissue, but
I think my main concern about the chat is that it creates two conversations happening at once is my primary concern. So there's a conversation happening in the chat and there's a conversation happening in the meeting, which is kind of like having people in the corner talking throughout the meeting. So it's both like non-transparent and really exclusive as opposed to inclusive is my primary concern. I do appreciate sometimes people might be more comfortable in writing.
An email.
But that's what the email is for, either before the meeting or after. So that's my 2 cents, but
Do we read all the emails during that action item in this meeting together?
that's what we've started doing, yeah.
Okay, great. Then
I feel like, yeah, Kat's the chair, and I suggest that we all support her to run the meeting how she sees fit, as long as it's legal.
I also think in addition, like the one thing that happens with it is, you know, it's ends up being disrespectful of the people who have, when they're given 3 minutes public comment. So it's like, you know, and it's challenging to address. And I'll be honest, additionally, and I'm going to be very direct here, in the chat, a lot of the questions that have been put in there are on Engage Nederland already. Like they have been answered and we're happy to discuss them again, but they need to be brought up in that 3-minute period.
All right, so I think moving forward, we will keep the chat off and then we can certainly take public comment on that in the future.
Want to shut it down now or?
I think we can, it's fine for, we only have like 5 minutes left, so.
I'm gonna keep copying, that's my idea.
Oh, got it. Thank you, Miranda. We appreciate you and we appreciate the copying
in real time.
But I appreciate everybody like thoughtful comments on that, so. And we can definitely revisit it after a couple of months if it seems like we're having concerns. I believe, Alex, you have an other business item as well.
My only other quick question on this, first of all, do we need to vote formally on that? Or
No,
No, that was just kind
And
of
then-
forward for procedure.
did we receive some email comments this month? Did we acknowledge those at any point? Some of them I think were for the planning commission.
Yeah, so I
just-
wouldn't say that you got, so we've got some individuals who want to express their opinions about Teen Zinc's proposal for childcare, just so you understand, it went to every board. BZA, SAB, PROSAB, Planning Commission,
They're
DDA,
gonna come
Board of
back.
Trustees. It's not coming to you. I think they really just wanted to make sure that as boards and as appointed officials, you all understood how they felt about this proposal.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good point
Sometimes
though,
it is
because we did read Tanya's, which was directly relevant to the pump track, but we did not acknowledge that we did get 3, I believe, emails to the PROSAB list related to the daycare center that Teen Zinc is proposing for the Old Town Shop area, which doesn't fall under our jurisdiction, so we didn't read those into the meeting minutes, but just to, I think it's good to acknowledge that we did receive those.
And then I think the only others we have received is just about rink stuff, right?
Yeah, that's just the pledges and stuff,
Pledges,
right?
yeah, like support.
Which I don't.
We have not received any critical feedback, constructive feedback about rink, to my knowledge, that we would need to address in this forum.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So just my other business was about the GoCo grant for the rink and racket park, which is due on the 26th. 26th. So Miranda asked me to write a letter on behalf of PROSAB to include with the either the concept paper packet or our eventual application if we are invited to apply, which would be the next step. Just since we are the primary advisory board on recreation in Nederland, it would be important to have our support behind it. I drafted the letter, I circulated it to this group. Kat let me know she didn't have any edits, and also suggested that we sign everyone's name to it. If everyone's okay with that, I signed it on behalf of myself. But if anyone has any edits, or concerns with their name being attached to it, you can let me know now or via email. We're happy to answer any questions. That's pretty straightforward.
Would that email have come from you, Alex?
Yeah.
To me too, okay.
It went to the whole
The
list.
PROSAB list,
Yeah,
okay.
but if you didn't get it, I can forward it to you separately. I know emails in the beginning are really hard.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for drafting that, and I have no edits, and I'm happy to sign on my name onto it. So thanks for doing that.
They do often go to spam too. So.
Thanks. Yeah.
Sam CT, good. I see a thumbs up from Sam. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good.
all. Hopefully
Let me
we-
add one thing, because we haven't turned the chat off yet, and we do have it on, so I'll address this one question real quick that keeps being asked here, which is fine. The rink court area doesn't work because we already have a short season, and if we cut down significant amount of trees for a pump track, it further reduces the shade that we have and shortens the season further. That's been discussed at a couple of meetings already. I know you attend them all, or at least the majority of them, Kathleen. And so I would have imagined that you'd heard that before. And we've talked about that. And so we're trying not to impact other facilities that we already have.
Yeah.
It's also a big hill to ride up from the town of Nederland for a little kid.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's like the kind of the other primary concern with that area is that it makes it less accessible for kids from the center of town. I also personally I much prefer having something new go in an area where we don't have to cut down trees. Is outside of shade, I am not a huge fan of cutting down trees. So that's just my own personal, that's my personal opinion, not the, but what Sam said, in addition to the location being very challenging for kiddos to ride their bikes up and quite dangerous, because there's unfortunately not a wonderful crossing from town to that side of the town. So, but Sam, I appreciate you recognizing that and answering that. All right, any other business?
I have a quick one.
Please.
I just have a question, and I'd love to hear some thoughts and comments from you all, just in terms of us working effectively as a team towards our strategic goals. And just the pros team is coming with monthly updates on their efforts, but I kind of remember us all sort of taking on items that we're going to be the champion of, and I was wondering if we might want to just try to build into our teamwork a bit of accountability, to the extent of just giving a report on any progress that might have unfolded in the last month on those areas, because I would like for us to move the needle on our strategic goals. And I feel like us having some level of accountability to one another, at least, and to what we signed up for, could help with that.
I like that idea.
That's a very good idea. I hadn't had time to start on my goal yet with Casey, so it's like, yep, that's a good idea.
But you could just say that then, you know.
No, it's
Yeah.
that's totally true. That's super legit. Yeah, should we just put it like as a standing, like,
Goal check-in.
I mean, I think the reason I'm a scooch hesitant is I don't want to just start having a bunch of things on the agenda
Totally.
that there's no update on, but
Yeah.
I think maybe, but it's a good idea. So I don't know, maybe when I send out the agenda request, I can just like ask people to confirm whether they'll have like an update other than, will it be 2 minutes or will it be a 20-minute discussion, and just kind of actively solicit.
Yeah. It's almost like, I think because I feel like we suffer from, in government, this quality of doing some work, coming up with a document, and then tossing it over our shoulder and focusing on the next hot item or next topic of hand. And so I feel like having the strategic goals brought back and for our eyeballs on a regular basis could be really good. And maybe somehow that could just get into our agenda document as a placeholder, and then give the option if there's an update from that particular champion, so that we can see like, oh, these are our goals, they're still there. And yeah, actually, I had this great conversation with so-and-so, and yes, I can allocate 10 minutes for the whole the whole list.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Something like
unless
that.
there's like a specific
Unless-
larger
And then
topic.
there's a larger topic or discussion item relevant, like today's pump track. Obviously, it takes up more of the.
That's a good idea. Yeah, just have a standing 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
if you need like an actual agenda
Yeah.
item, let me know.
It's just like a flash round of sorts.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. Thank you, Jesse. All right. Final call for other business. Or any other.
I mean, I could just really quick, in addition to Godot signing up for the focus group, I did send out an email to you all about Destination Blueprints, which is part 2 of Reimagined Destinations. There's a tourism management 2 event. There's kind of a social gathering on Monday, the 30th from 5 to 7 at the library, and then an all-day partial day work session from 9 to 1 on the 31st. And so it would be great if you could come. We would ask that you sign up so we know how to feed you, how many to feed, but did send that out for you all as well.
I did sign up for the one on the 30th.
Cool.
So I'm excited and hope to see some other.
It's harder than a
there.
weekday, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was
CTO.
different, so sorry, I'll go.
That is
Yeah,
a whole different
Doing
thing.
that with Godot. This is a separate, it's related to
This
the
is
same
separate. This is still the Colorado Tourism Office, but it's Destination Blueprints, which is part 2 of the Reimagined Destinations. Marketing, the branding identity work is like a whole separate project that came out of Reimagine.
Okay, so then what will the second?
This will help us continue to narrow in on the work plan that came out of Reimagined Destinations.
Okay.
That gives us much more solidified, like, the work plan is very conceptual, like you should work on some of these things. This will really drive into, you need to do specifically X, Y, and Z for tourism management. And then the other thing is housing needs assessment, and it's not a huge PROSAB thing, but we are working with the Planning Commission on addressing some ways to work through some of the housing code language. And so there's a work session on Thursday, which is why you changed. There's that work session on Thursday from 6 to 8, in person only, because it's very interactive with the Planning Commission BOT. But if members of PROSAB want to attend, we of course welcome you to talk about how to strengthen and amend our code to allow for alternative and affordable housing.
What's going on?
Lots going on.
There's a BVSD candidates forum tonight at the library that's ending at 8. If you guys want to go meet BVSD school board candidates as well.
Oh.
10 of them.
Our library?
Yep. And then there's going to be Stuart Lord, who's one of the candidates, is going to do a discussion at Salto next week on Thursday or something like that. I'll be hosting or introducing him.
Nice, cool. All right, my friends, I do believe we are done.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Anyone want a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to everybody online for your thoughts. And hopefully we'll see people next time.
Kat, thanks for running a great meeting.
Thanks, Sam. Hope you feel better.
Chat still.
Yeah.